Hi everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to review the recording of our webinar for the Golden Rose Contest judging. We wanted to take you through the aspects of judging the contest, and we'll try and make this as quick as possible. You should have received from Ellen already a sample of the form that I'm going to show you, the score sheet, as well as the sample of the manuscript that we're using as an example today. We'll also make available to you the directions, these technical directions that we're walking through, as well as some best practices for being a judge. So if you'll take some time to review that, that would be wonderful and very helpful, because I'm sure that I'll miss something while I'm recording this. All right. So first off, when you get when the entries are received by you, you'll be getting them in a zipped file from your category coordinator. In that zipped file, you'll have the score sheet. So in this case, we're using Pride and Prejudice as our sample manuscript. So you'll have the score sheet, and it'll be pre-populated with all of this information. I'll come back and go through that in a minute. You'll also have the document itself, and that will be in a RTF form that you can pull up in whatever Word document you use. Okay, so going back to the score sheet here, in the top you'll see that there's an entry number, and that's the number that goes along with this particular manuscript, which is for Pride and Prejudice. The category is historical, and again, that'll all be filled out for you. And then your judge number will be in there, and your judge number will be the same across all of your entries. As we move down, you'll see that the judging profile will be listed, and these will actually be blank. So when you get it, it'll look like that. And you are going to want to mark on whichever of these are appropriate. So if you're unpublished and pro, then you can go ahead and fill in those 2 marks, for example. Okay. Our scoring is based on a 1 through 5 scoring level, where 1 needs substantial work and 5 means it's exceptional and ready to submit to an agent or editor. I'd like to just walk through those really quickly with you now. So we talked about 5. 4 means it shows talent and ability, and only minor revisions are needed. 3 means it shows promise, could use more revision and or refinement. 2 means it needs work, significant revisions are necessary. And again, 1 means that it needs substantial work and major revisions are required. Now, since we're using Pride and Prejudice as our example, we would, well, at least I would usually give it all 5s and 4s. However, for the purposes of our demonstration, I am going to score it a little bit lower, so don't get mad at me for that later. All right. So let's take, for example, the opening of Pride and Prejudice. It asks the question here in this section, does the opening of the entry draw you in immediately? Well, I gave it a 5 here. Yes, of course it does. Is there something interesting happening, and does it entice the reader to continue reading? I gave it a 2, and I will talk about that in just a second below. Does the opening scene set up the conflict for the entry? I gave it a 3. But I'm thinking, now as I'm revising, as I'm looking through my scoring, I think, oh, maybe I want that to be higher. I actually think that it deserves a 4 here. So I type in a 4, and I'm going to show you, if you look up here at the top, you can see when I click off of this, it's going to change from a 14 to a 15. That total up in the box is automatically summed for you, so you don't have to do any of the equating it yourselves. All you have to do is fill in the boxes. Okay. However, if it is anything that is below a 3, so either a 2 or a 1, we do ask that you fill in some comments about why you felt that about it. So in this case, I said, Mr. Bennet seems to be a fairly flat character in the opening. We can't tell much about his personality here, okay? Now, something else that you can do, which is very useful to the entrant, is that in the actual manuscript, you can write your comments about why you felt a particular way about it. So in this case, I wrote, this would be a great spot to add some additional information about this character. That goes along with my comment that I felt he was flat. I know some of you might want to use the review functionality in your Word program, but we ask that you do instead that you put it within the actual text of the manuscript, because in some cases people are not going to be able to, don't have the software, aren't using the right Word program in order to see your comments, your reviewer comments. So instead, if you can just change the color and bracket it with square brackets like I did here. So for example, Mr. Bennett made no answer. Okay, actually, Jane Austen's so amazing. So she hasn't even said anything here, and we already know what Mr. Bennett is like. But let's just go with my flat character here. And I go up here, and I would change my color to red. And I would type in my comment here like, here's another spot for some character info. Okay? And that's good. Okay. Going back over to the scoring sheet, if we come down, I just want to go through the main categories. We have description and setting, characters, story, goal, motivation, conflict, craft, mechanics, style, voice, pacing, plotting, and dialogue, narrative. Those are the main categories. And then I'll get down to special elements in a second. One thing I would ask that you do is please try to review the score sheet before you open up any of your entries so that you have an idea of what criteria you're looking for that you're going to be judging on, especially if you haven't done this before. Okay, so then all of those are judged on the 1 to 5 scale. The only exception is down here in special elements. This applies only to the category that you are judging. So in this particular example, we're judging historical, and the only box that we would want to fill out is the historical box. And our judging criteria above here says if I give it a 9 to 10 points, and you can make the judgment on that, whether it's a 9 or a 10, I think that this is exceptional and ready to submit to an agent or editor for a historical romance. 7 to 8 shows talent and ability. Only minor revisions are needed. A 5 to 6 means it shows promise, could use more revision and or refinement. A 3 to 4 means needs work, significant revisions are necessary. And a 1 to 2 means needs substantial work, major revisions are required. So in this particular case, we gave it a 10 because we do think it's ready for publication. All right, so now I have filled out all of my scoring on my score sheet, and I am getting ready to send it back to the category coordinator. Before I do, I obviously need to save it. So I would just come up and save it up here. And I do not want to put in the submit form up above in the right-hand side where my pointer is, because that is actually something the category coordinator will do. That will get it sent off to Ellen Russell. So you are just going to want to save this and close it. And you're also going to want to save our your comments that you made in the manuscript.
And by the way, we don't require that you make comments in the manuscript, but we do encourage it just because it's so helpful to the contest entrants.
Thank you. That's awesome. That was Ellen, by the way. and that is absolutely true. It is very helpful. But we don't want them, as we talked about, protecting anonymity here. This is a good example of where, because you've made changes in the document, you might be listed as a modifier or author in the properties section. Each Word program is a little bit different, so you'll have to look up what in your own Word program where that would show. But in our program, if we come over to File, you can see the information about this file, and specifically we can see down here, well, let's see, I didn't make any changes, but If I'd made changes, it would have had my name in here. Okay, it would have said Deanne in there. And so in order to get rid of that, to strip it, but this is only in Word 2010, each Word program is different, but for this, you could go over to check for issues, prepare for sharing, inspect document, don't save it yet. We want to look at the document properties and personal information, make sure that's checked up here, and then you want to inspect it, and it says no information was found, but if it had found my name in there, it would have put author, and it would have given me the option to strip it, and I would have cleaned it, and then I would close this, and that's actually how we got rid of the information before. So, and then at that point you can save it, save your document, and you can send that along with the score sheet back to your category coordinator. And we ask that you try and do this as quickly as possible after you have completed your scoring so that they can keep track of progress on all of the different entries that we have received. Let's see. I know you might have some questions about all of this, so you can, of course, feel free to contact me, dwilstead@hotmail.com, or you can contact Ellen Russell directly at rcrw@katen.net. That's KATEN.net. Thank you guys so much for agreeing to be judges. We really appreciate it, and we're so excited for the contest. We know we're going to get some entries, and more importantly, we know that this is a lot of work for you guys to do, so we wanted to say thank you. So thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.